and green card holders all remain hopeless behind enemy lines. Most of the week, Joe Biden finally issued a public statement and even answered 4 questions. But he's proud of his work in Afghanistan. I wonder how their families feel. I wonder how the people caught behind enemy lines feel. Now, of course, the reporters were all pre-selected. As per usual, Joe, well, he called their names from his little list. He obviously put together by his staff, and at no point did Joe mention the Americans that he abandoned and left behind to suffer under the Taliban. Now brought back the law, and it means yes, the children can't go to school, women and girls. He mentioned his drones killed humanitarians and 7 children and 0 terrorists. Instead, Joe, again, congratulating himself on what was his debacle of a withdrawal from Afghanistan, says he won't make apologies for the way it all went down. Wow, pretty arrogant, Joe. Take a look.
There's no easy way to end that, and we're now still getting people out. But it's really, there's no picture book way to say, okay, the war's ended, let's get everybody out and we'll go home. No war's ever ended that way, other than there's been a surrender and it's a totally different circumstance. So anyway, there's a lot, I'm sure, along the line that there are things I could have done better, but I make no apologies for my proposals, how I'm proceeding, and why I think by the end of the year we're going to be in a very different place.
There was an easy way. No apologies. Why didn't you take out, when you had full control of Kabul and the Taliban was only beginning their march and running over the Afghan military that you bragged so much about in July, why didn't you get Americans and their families and green card holders,
shut down the air
Afghan
power
allies and our military equipment out in March? Why didn't you do it in April, May, June, July, when you had full control of Kabul and could have done all of that safely and gotten everybody home? You said you wouldn't abandon them, and you did. You should apologize for that, Joe. It's only one small part of his bizarre, rambling, defensive speech where a very irritated looking Joe Biden.
Maybe his check from Wuhan lab
every crisis
has affected his mind, and he has to go after Border Patrol agents.
Border Patrol and people that won't listen to his one-size-fits-all medicine from a guy that never went to medical school and frankly was a horrible student on top of all of it. First, with COVID cases spiking all around the country, 300% higher than last year. Condemning
open borders, variants. They're probably working in Wuhan right now with a gain of function death rate that's extremely high, and a version of the COVID-19 that can be easily infected by a human petri dish to walk it over the Mexican-American border. To
more vaccine mandates are headed your way, thanks to Joe, Dr. Joe.
To affect greater America.
The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units. The unvaccinated also put our economy at risk, recovery at risk, causing unease in the economy causing unease around the kitchen table. The refusal has cost all of us. The refusal to get vaccinated has cost all of us. And I'm moving forward with vaccination requirements wherever I can.
And why, Joe, are you controlling all the monoclonal antibodies and rationing it, considering it's shown such great success? I know you only heard about them a week and a half ago. Federal mandates are not only unconstitutional, but they're also deeply unpopular, especially for whatever reason, I don't know, like New York City. African Americans in New York City, it's a little over 30% that have been vaccinated. But according to Joe, he's just following his science, unless, of course, it interferes with his political agenda. Today, what is being called a, quote, boost for Biden's campaign to give a broad segment of Americans access to boosters, the CDC director single-handedly actually overruled her own agency, the CDC advisory panel, to recommend COVID booster shots for a variety of American workers.
You think it's wise that we give over 100 million more extra vaccines abroad when it costs $2,000 a shot for one shot?
Rationing these therapeutics, monoclonal antibody treatments like Regeneron in red states. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis.
I think that my tooth is hurting, and when I think about it, having dental for Americans may be a good thing, but the whole idea of open borders to therefore waste American tax dollars is insane.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out that is an unmitigated disaster of his making and has been for 7 months. Yeah, a real crisis that they've been denying. Thousands of migrants packed together in horrific, squalid conditions.
But who knows? It was probably that
COVID-19,
gum virus they gave me. It could.
Physical sexual assault is occurring on a large scale. Virtually none of the migrants undergo any proper vetting whatsoever about radical backgrounds. There's no COVID-19.
Well, they want to, telling the truth, government tactics against Americans. What does it do? It destroys my personal life, because any woman is like, oh, they gave him something where it hurts his teeth and all that. No, we don't want to go on a date.
Well, he's going after Border Patrol agents and their horses. They are fighting back fiercely, saying this is all a lie. But here's what Joe is saying.
Given what we saw at the border this week, have you failed in that promise? And this is happening under your watch. Do you take responsibility for the chaos that's unfolding?
Of course I take responsibility. I'm president, but it was horrible to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses running mobile.
What's their job, President?
It's outrageous.
To protect the border?
People will pay. They will be an investigation underway now, and there will be consequences.
My tooth is hurting. Hold up.
It's an embarrassment. It's beyond an embarrassment. It's dangerous. It's wrong. It sends the wrong message around the world. It sends the wrong message at home. It's simply not who we are.
Joe, you caused this disaster. You ended the stay in Mexico policy. It was working. You stopped border wall construction. It was working. You not only brought back catch and release, it's process and release. You're responsible. You and Kamala both invited people to come. Those people will pay. I guess forget about due process or presumption of innocence. What about the people that ordered the drone strike, Joe? Oh, that would be you, the one that killed 7 innocent children and humanitarian workers. What about the people who planned the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan that resulted in 13 dead American soldiers, trapping hundreds of our fellow Americans behind enemy lines? What about the people that you abandoned in Afghanistan that have green cards, our Afghan allies, all their families? What about the people who caused this border crisis and told these migrants to surge the border? If I become president, think about it. According to Joe Biden, his twisted logic, a border patrol agent on horseback with a long rein is evil, but leaving thousands of Americans and our allies behind in Afghanistan that will be tortured and many killed by the Taliban that are very professional and businesslike as he, quote, turns the page. That's a success? Make no mistake, American enemies are all watching. All our enemies know. China knows. Russia knows. The Iranian mullahs know. Kim Jong-un knows.
I bet you Z is wondering how stupid Americans are that their employee Biden is getting away with so much. I bet you they're floored. They're flabbergasted. They're getting away with so much.
Taiwan, where they plan their reunification with fighter jets. What are you going to do, Joe? Because yesterday, the People's Republic of China, they sent 19 jets, and today they sent 24. They know you are too weak and spineless, and you won't lift a finger, will you, Joe?
Probably gave him a new check.
Just as you abandoned people in Afghanistan, your own citizens. Now, Joe Biden has harsher rhetoric for the American people than he does for the Communist Party of China. Probably China has compromising mafia deals on Hunter. For example, Joe Biden now likes to lecture and scold Americans for not paying your fair share in taxes, which is ironic. I'll explain.
Just say, hey, step up. Step up and pay like everybody else does. Look, I really mean this. And look, my whole career, and I come from the corporate state of America. I just think it's about just paying your fair share, for one's sake.
Pay your fair share. Okay, Joe. How about this, Joe? How about you and Hunter? Why don't you both start paying your fair share and your taxes before lecturing the rest of us. And keep in mind, Hunter, your son, that's right, the guy that used crack that's probably compromised by Russia and China and Kazakhstan and Ukraine and Libya. Yeah, he's under federal investigation. Why? International tax evasion and money laundering. And tonight, according to the Congressional Research Service, nonpartisan, Joe, you yourself, you might owe up to $500,000 in back taxes. I wonder if the AG in Delaware is going to go after you, like they're doing to Donald Trump in New York, for the exact same, quote, allegation. Fake news CNN, MSDNC, ABC, CBS, NBC. Do you hear that? Maybe you should be speculating about jail time and indictments like you do with everything Donald Trump. Or does Joe just get the presidential protection program like he had the candidate protection program?
Well, heard impeachment linked to tax evasion many times, referring to Trump.
Actually asked tough questions.
$500,000.
Our very own Peter Doocy. But naturally, Joe Biden today avoided Peter Doocy like the plague. There's no exception. Take a look. He only took 4 questions.
Mr. President, how come you've never been to the border? Mr. President, sir, the gentleman.
Here with more Fox News White House correspondent, our own Peter Doocy is with us. Okay, so you see well, I know you're in the press room tonight. All right, so the question is, they didn't take your question. That's not a press conference, 4 questions. He's yet to do a primetime press conference. Donald Trump talked to the press a lot. My question for you is, what are the questions the media are not asking?
Well, to your point from just a few minutes ago, we still have not heard him address in a meaningful way or in any way that drone strike that they told us 7 days ago now killed the 7 innocent children and the 3 innocent adults, 10 total people, no ISIS-K terrorists. He has not addressed that. He did talk a little bit about the border, though, and what I was doing with that question,
maybe it was a humanitarian that was against the Obama government.
I asked Jen Psaki,
the satanic Obama government,
had ever been to the border, because we can't find any evidence of him ever going during his 5 decades of public service. So today I asked her what he didn't want to answer. Why is it that he doesn't go to the border? Listen to this. Why hasn't President Biden?
So let me see that he killed a humanitarian and children.
To do at the southern border, and what impact do you think
he has given a list of enemies of radical Islam to the Taliban. He's flying over thousands upon thousands of probably Taliban.
Who both briefed us today that despite President Biden's very, very strong language for those mounted officers at
let me
the
make
border,
it clear.
saying that people are going to pay.
Let me make it clear that if the political winds change, I will side with Islam. In other words, if my plan works, I will side with Islam because we will have an ISIS flag at the Capitol.
In Afghanistan and their families. And as Tony Blinken said, thousands of people with green cards and our Afghan allies and billions of dollars in military equipment that we left for terrorists. He's not apologizing at all for abandoning Americans behind enemy lines. Has he answered a question?
Well, that was part of it. They wanted him to hit a knee to the Obama government. Those that weren't on board with the Obama government, they left behind to die with their names and everything.
Nothing that I can recall about Afghanistan today or yesterday in the briefing, but you want to talk about
that's how Obama does it. Benghazi,
how many Americans might be left behind?
Okay, Benghazi on steroids, right?
No, how many?
What was it? 5 to 7? No, it was probably more than that with
the administration talks a lot
administration and
about
that there, but the 5 main ones there.
Today, the DHS Secretary Mayorkas said there have been 12,400 of the Haitian migrants from under the bridge in Del Rio who have been released into
closing in on you, Joe. You should have went the Christian way, but you went the Satan's way.
Because there's a 1.5 million immigration case backlog in the courts, about 2.5 years. So we have gone.
You worked to try to kill, steal, and destroy against the Yeshua party all these years.
In the United States for
I told you to catch up with you.
It's going to take at least 2.5 years, and many of them, we understand, are able to stay after their cases are adjudicated. John.
By the way, Jen Psaki, I have a message for her. The reason Joe should go to the border, and I've been there almost 15 times, horseback, all-terrain vehicle, boats, helicopters, on foot. I've been there when gang members are arrested. I've been to the drug warehouses. I've seen the tunnels. You need to go to Del Rio to see the humanitarian disaster that Joe created, and maybe he'll stop it. That's a good reason. Peter Ducey, great to see you. Thank you. Here with more reaction, former White House Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, former White House Press Secretary himself, Fox News contributor, Ari Fleischer. Ari, you're smiling. I mean, I'm listening to these answers. Well, the reason we're not COVID testing illegal immigrants is because they're not going to be here very long. We're giving them request forms to show up. They're not even mandatory dates to show up in court. We request you show up on this date, but we're not going to force you to show up. Now, Ari, I have a funny feeling nobody's going to show up.
A funny feeling. You have an accurate feeling. But Sean, today is one of the most distressing, lowest moments I have ever seen in the United States government. Everything that Joe Biden said today about this is not the American way.
They're orchestrating the downfall of America.
Everything he said today,
Fundamental change of
those
America.
who are trying to enter America illegally, and not about the people who are doing their job and enforcing America's laws. This is a perfect illustration of how the Democrats, led by Joe Biden, are anti-police. Anywhere and everywhere.
Anti-authority? Well, they have to get the good cops out and those that are with them.
He's also saying police forces everywhere. No more horse patrols anymore.
Get them retired. They have a lot of tools. They get them retired with defunding. They get them killed with BLM and radical Islam and BLM. They got Rona regulations. If they don't enforce Rona regulations and be tyrannical and they don't hit a knee, and they go after them and with deep state tactics and big tech toys. They got all the police departments dependent on their iPhones a lot of times to get directions and different things. They depend on big tech.
It's great. We don't have to ask countries that hate us to import oil. We didn't import any oil from Saudi Arabia in the final months of the Trump administration. We don't.
Of course, Obama hooked up Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terror, with high-tech drone technology that they would use later, and made drones from that technology to strike Saudi Arabia to affect American sovereignty and oil sovereignty. Well, they took away our oil sovereignty, didn't they?
Trump's policies on monoclonal antibodies and not abandoning Americans in Afghanistan.
Because they don't want to, because it's not who they are. I don't think they care about sovereignty. I don't think they actually care about borders. This is who they are.
I don't know what monoclonal means.
Incompetency comes to light. You know, you mentioned it before. Joe Biden playing the blame game. He blames the Border Patrol for mistreating illegal immigrants. He blames Trump for the Taliban being in power. He even blames his staff for not calling on certain reporters that he doesn't want to call on. Unlike Trump, he'll just say, "I'm not calling on you because I think you're a liar." He just blames other people. Listen, here's my point. He has the opinions on these issues. You know that Biden rescinded, and I just wrote a list of like 10 things in a second during your monologue. He rescinded the wall. He rescinded zero tolerance. He rescinded the Paris Agreement. He rescinded the travel ban. He rescinded Keystone. He rescinded Trump's policy on transgender in the military. They have this view of America.
They get everything they want. They get everything they want. Trump wants to stop abortion. Can't do it.
Is that when
you just do a laundry list. Obama and Biden gets this. They get that. They get Obamacare. They get this. They win everything. It's my God.
Bad camera shot, and they've got 15,000 Haitians.
No, we know that what it is Christians are getting killed by the Obama government.
What happens in Afghanistan?
They're using little Haitians to be murderers now. They're going to go state to state, town to town, city to city to go kill Christians. And if they get in trouble, they can go hide in a sanctuary state where they're free from prosecution.
You know, I know a lot of people in the media, Ari, would feign outrage over Donald Trump's mean tweeting. They didn't like it. Donald Trump wouldn't have abandoned Americans. He wouldn't have given
Well,
up energy
you guys are
independence.
really,
He
are you
wouldn't
guys
killed
really
OPEC.
with me or are you
Donald
with
Trump would,
Obama?
we have
Are
a
you guys really the
25-year war because of
sellouts
the illegal
that's
immigrants coming
bullshitting
into the country.
everybody? That's
We
leading
had
us
a single
astray?
American killed in Afghanistan.
Let's waste
Those
our
2 months
fucking
of border
time?
policies.
You guys
They
on
believe
Fox, are
we
you?
killed them. I don't see that deterrent factor with Joe Biden.
No, that's exactly it. Look, Donald Trump was rude when he wanted to be rude. He could be a bull in the china shop, and everywhere he went, he brought a new china shop with him. That's his style. But he caught people's attention. He changed the way we did business, and he was tremendously effective across the board. Lowest poverty rate since 1959. China changing its behavior. No new war started. That's the result of policy, and it's why I'm a policy.
Let me run with Trump.
I don't care if Joe Biden tweets or doesn't tweet.
Be his vice president.
Not what's relevant to how you protect America, enforce America's laws, move America forward. Policy matters. When it comes to policy, Joe Biden is showing he is not up for the job. His judgment is wrong, and he's a liberal, as liberal as it gets, and everything he's trying to shove through is a left-wing wish list.
Well, Donald Trump
And they get it through.
Right,
They get whatever they want. We have a new poll.
I think almost.
Yes, it was 80% Democrats that we polled, but yes, I guess America wants open borders.
Policy is who you are. R is right, and the policies of Joe Biden is what will undo him. But yeah, no, Trump's going to run, and we'll have a big race upcoming in 2024. But we'll worry about 2022 next. That's true. And I will tell you this, I think people will be less concerned about the tweets and more concerned about being competent and actually.
Well, I tell you what is it that our president, our commander-in-chief ain't allowed to tweet? What does that say about me? What does that say about everyone else?
Disaster at the border. I never guessed we'd be begging OPEC to produce.
They're being brainwashed on their social media. That's why America's going at it one another.
When we come back, our own Sarah Carter spoke with Border Patrol about Biden's attacks from today. We'll get reaction from her and Charlie Hurt and Matt Schlapp and much more as we continue.
My battery is not working in my.
Wealth is breaking ground on the biggest project yet.
Okay, I guess it's not working, so I have to go change my battery.
Solid foundation. Wealth is shutting down the office for Mike's retirement party.
Let's see if I have.
Work is giving the employee who spent half his life with you the party of a lifetime. Wealth is watching your business grow. Work is watching your employees grow with it. Principal, for all it's worth.
That's my son, Noah. And that? We call that the Greenlight effect. Greenlight's a debit card for kids and teens. With an app to manage chores, send money instantly, and keep tabs on spending. Now Noah's saving more than he's spending. In fact, he recently saved up to buy his mom a gift. But the real gift is just how smart he's learning to be with his money. And the extra help around the house doesn't hurt. Join more than 3 million parents and kids at greenlight.com.
Oh, sister of mine, I got you this. The new iPhone 13 Pro.
It's on Verizon 5G.
Can't believe you got this.
Yes, Verizon is giving one to everyone who trades their older damaged phone.
Oh, so like every sister can get this.
Yeah.
Every aluminum button.
All right.
Why not? Every Gula. They would have to. Every customer, new and old, can get iPhone 13 Pro on us. Because everyone deserves better. Everyone, horse trainer, hear it. You get the new iPhone. We're alone. I know. What are we doing? I don't know.
With a Honda in your garage, every summer adventure leads to another. Kickstart your summer with a great deal on a Pilot, Accord, or HR-V only at the Honda Summer Sales Event.
Will you be surprised, in this life? I'm surprised. In this life, you're taught to be a sacrifice. That you are supposed to be a vessel of sacrifice, that even your bodies are supposed to be sacrificial in nature. You know, um, as far as me, probably about six, 6 or 7 years ago, I had really bad teeth that thousands upon thousands of dollars that it would cost probably over $10,000 to fix my teeth. That was maybe it was probably over a decade ago. I don't know. Well, 7 years, probably 7 years ago. They were really bad. I didn't have money for a toothbrush or toothpaste for a long time. I was turning off my heat at dead of winter. It'd be feel like 20 below in the house, but I got through it. My by now I should have no teeth, no teeth whatsoever. We're called to be a living sacrifice. I figured, you know, I wanted to save America, be the next Billy Graham, be the next president, whatever it be. That I want to save the bride of Christ. That I would sacrifice my teeth because I was have this cross of addiction. I drink a lot of coffee. I constantly drinking something. I know that's just the way I am. I've always been like that for many years. I drink water, beer, pop, or coffee, water, beer, pop. Now my teeth should be gone, and I equated that I'm a living sacrifice. I just have to give it up and stay busy. I can't fight the addiction of sugar and caffeine and all that. I'm going to fight a battle to save the Christian church. Now, again, my teeth should be gone. But God, I thank Him that I still have teeth. And they're pretty, well, they're not the best right now, but they're actually, my teeth are better than what they were. My front tooth is messed up, it's missing a little bit, but um, it's not actual tooth that's missing. It's the replacement part of the tooth that's getting eaten away. I had cavities on my front tooth. I went and got partial it replaced, and the replacement is getting eaten away, but my tooth is there. So and it's half the tooth that was like missing, but I my teeth should be black, falling out. I thought, yes, my teeth are going to be gone, but what can I do? I don't have the money. I'm just going to focus on saving the bride of Christ. Supernaturally, supernaturally, praise God. He's somehow strengthened what teeth I have, and I should have no teeth. How much I drink coffee and sugar, I should have no teeth, but here I am with teeth. I'm perplexed. Thank you, God. Thank you for letting me have teeth. And it looks like a simple procedure would make my teeth look a lot better. Praise God. Thank you, God. Thanks. Glory to God.
Recently retired mounted police border patrol trainer. What he had to say, his name is Rowdy Ballard, and he had a lot to say to President Biden.
God's rebuilding my body. I thank you, Lord. I thought I was going to be a 800-pound fat man. I don't know. Not having exercise, having to be online, trying to do my church stuff and do politics. Praise God.
They ask us to do our job, and we
We'll
do
get
it
a
to the best of our
coffee.
abilities, and then we get this kind of a backslash.
Do you think it's dangerous that the administration is making these kind of comments to law enforcement officers?
Of course, yeah, they weren't asked to do anything other than their job, and there was no. I looked at the videos and the pictures, and there was no they weren't whipping the Haitians at all. I mean, if anything, they were just using the reins to either create distance from the Haitians. Some of them were grabbing at the horse reins and the bits. They were either using the reins to keep them away, or they were using the reins to drive the horses into the Haitians to move them off because they were resisting the commands of the agents.
Sean, it's extremely frustrating for many of the agents. So this is a really
Kiddo with a
dangerous
smile.
situation. This border region is filled with mountainous terrain, rocky conditions. The area in which they apprehended the migrants was actually an area where they normally patrol with boats. That area was, they were unable to get their boats there. That's why they were trying to move the migrants. They say what's worse is that what President Biden and the administration did was put a big target on them, basically giving others the right to target law enforcement.
I practice not smiling, showing my teeth. Now I gotta show my teeth again. They're not that bad, but thank God again. Thank God, it's a miracle. Big miracle. I still have teeth.
All right, Carter.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, always. Joining us now with Reaction, Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt, American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp is with us. Let me ask you both. Now, the White House, Matt, they're claiming that in fact they will pay. They're not rushing to judgment. Now, when Biden was with Obama, they rushed to judgment on Cambridge Police, on the Trayvon Martin case, on Freddie Gray in Baltimore. They rushed to judgment in Ferguson, Missouri. That was a signature of theirs. They will pay sounds like a rush to judgment to me, and trying to back off that statement is nearly impossible.
Yeah, this is a threat, Sean. You're not allowed to just go out and threaten your employees. Remember, Joe Biden is ultimately their boss. And as much as federal employees are sometimes maligned, they have rights. And think about these people who are simply doing their job. You know, we're supposed to prevent illegals from crossing the border. That's what our law says. Joe Biden is the president. He has to enforce all of our laws. Instead, he's demonizing law enforcement in a clear way. He left Americans behind in Afghanistan. And this is outrageous. This attack on men and women who are simply doing their job and following their oath, to have the president of the United States threaten them, is the line we haven't seen since Hillary Clinton went after the travel office with all the Clinton scandals.
And the irony, Charlie, is he caused it all. They caused this, by not enforcing the laws.
Exactly. No, it's important to remember, Sean, all of this is intentional. All of this, there's plenty of blame going back decades that both parties can share in. But President Trump solved the immediate crisis at the border. Joe Biden came in and undid all of the things that President Trump put in place that solved the immediate crisis at the border. And then what you wound up with was this catastrophe that I guess was getting out of hand, even for the Biden administration, which is really remarkable if you stop and think about what they're intending to do with the border, which is to completely remove it. But the other thing that I find so astounding about all of this is the kind of language that they're willing to use, as Matt says, to attack the people that are charged with the duty of enforcing the border, and to bring up slavery and racism, and to equate slavery with enforcing our border. This is just nuts, like nothing we've ever. I mean, we've seen some pretty crazy stuff over the last 5 years, Sean. This is a new level of just wacko crazy that I don't even think regular Democrat voters, at least not the ones I know, and I know plenty of them are willing to go along with. This is a new level of crazy.
Yeah, and it's getting worse every day on every major
So
issue.
now we can't have horses to protect our borders from fentanyl coming in, so our fellow Americans are no ODing. Thanks, Obama. Just so your jihadists can come into America. Oh. Well, I like to talk about in the commercials. Talk about, of course, who else? I got some on my nose. Talk about God. Talk about God. Jesus is wonderful. He's glorious and gorgeous. Let me think of something I haven't talked about. Oh, yeah, the taxes, right? You remember the famous, a lot of people sit there and say Jesus wasn't political. I differ. I have a very, I think very differently on that. I think that, yeah, he was very political. That's why they didn't like him, right? That's why they wanted to kill him ultimately, is because he was so political. When they asked him, he said, should we pay Caesar his taxes? And he basically asked them, right? What does what does God own, and what does Caesar own? In a sense that I don't know, remember the exact uh, scriptures on it. Oh, he didn't say that, but they said whose inscriptions on it. Maybe he felt their faith of where they're at. Whose inscriptions on the coin? Caesar. Well, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God's what is God's. You know what I would have told him? If I was there following Jesus, I would have looked at Jesus and said, well, Jesus, the Father owns everything. So why should we have to pay temple, or why should we have to pay taxes on everything? We're his child. Well, can't we get in free? Why do we have to render unto Caesar? Doesn't God, the Father, own that which is Caesar's? I guarantee it would be interesting to hear with um, his complex wisdom and all that, how he would, if I inserted, well, the Father owns everything. He made everything. Is not the Word. Everything was made. Well, that's in John, First John, but everything was made for the Word and by the Word, right? Something like that. So if Jesus owns everything, why does Jesus have to pay a damn thing? Why is that? Why do we have to render unto Caesar? But he had to meet them where their faith was, right? Or render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And then I would have said, well, Caesar doesn't own anything. It's all God's. What would you think about that? It would be interesting. He might have he might have said, that's true. God owns everything, but we're gonna pay, something like that. Something I don't know. But I got to smile. I gotta get used to smiling. Why is the light not shining? Oh, I have to go get. We'll go after this coffee. I'm gonna use a whitener. I did go to the dollar store and buy some whitener.
With a Honda in your garage, every summer adventure leads to another.
My lungs are the same. Everything in me is really healthy. I'm really healthy. The things I sacrificed was some stuff I had to sacrifice for God, and
Kickstart your summer with a great
the
deal of
stress, the
pilot
tremendous
or
stress I'm
HRV
under
only
or
at
have been
Honda
under
Summer Sales.
was not
Of Sirius XM,
of my
anytime,
making.
anywhere.
And God
News
put the
Audio
government on my
Sirius
back,
XM
and
America is listening.
my cross happened to be addiction, and it was just too much.
President Kamala Harris, your borders are. Anyway, she was slated to appear on the award-winning news show, hard-hitting news show, The View, this morning, in what was billed as her first in-studio interview since taking
Alone.
office.
It's not good for man to be alone.
Start.
I don't even know another Christian. I don't know a real Christian that loves me as as he should. That love know them for the love you have for one another. No Christian has visited me. No Christian has come over and said, "Hey, we love you, Kevin. How you doing?" Whatever.
Nothing is more important than
I got to call somebody. I got a letter to call somebody and invite someone over, him and his wife, a pastor, and I'll do that. But I just haven't got around to it.
No one knows better than I do. Anything can happen during live TV. That was one of those moments. Vice President Harris was able to eventually join the show virtually.
So I've been alone for all my life, pretty much.
Once again, our border
my cross is addiction, and then I have the world government on my back. So yeah, it's a
I've
lot.
been very clear about the images that you and I both saw of those.
I'm just happy about my teeth.
I
I got teeth still. Just praising God. Thank you, Lord.
It was horrible and deeply troubling. There's been now an investigation that is being conducted, which I fully support.
I'm not trying to abuse it, not at all. I was under a lot of stress.
Human beings should not be treated that way. And as we all know, it also evoked images of some of the worst moments of our history, where
my face said I had to put it out, so
has been used against the indigenous people of our country, has been used against African Americans during times of slavery.
Now, Border Patrol's union and Border Patrol agents vehemently deny the characterization of both Biden.
Oh, I wish I had to rewind on this thing. What did Cam
issue,
say?
And they are fighting back strongly. They're saying that this is being used as a distraction, as we reported earlier in the show tonight, for their failure at the borders. But has Kamala thought about what happened now that she and Joe abandoned Americans in Afghanistan, including American women, thousands of green card holders to this country, Afghan allies, are not seeing the beatings that are taking place, watching the murders taking place?
Where's the Me Too movement leader?
Go to school, and
I see flipping out at Joe arming radical jihad overseas to make hell women's lives overseas. Why ain't she screaming her head off, pissed off at Joe?
Fox News contributor Joe Concha. It's interesting, the photographer whose photo they keep using and showing has said that's not what happened as it relates to the rains. I'm not a horse person, apparently there's what's called a long rain. So I'll defer you on that. And interestingly, how we can compartmentalize outrage to one thing.
It's made to whip the horse. But it's still, I didn't see actual footage of him whipping a Haitian.
Yes, I mean, isn't that convenient?
That's using the horse, like of course, Man Tracker on that movie or that series Man Tracker. They move the horse around to corral Haitians. They do that. That's what they're for.
The horses can also get frightened by certain environments. And those
well, what is Fox? That's why I'm mad. Fox. I guess some border patrol that are trying to save Americans' lives. 19 hijackers brought us to our economic knees at 9/11. No, think about it. 19 hijackers, and we're getting invaded. And what happened? The guys protecting us have basically lost their jobs, and they're seen as racists that whipping black men. What is that? What kind of protection do they got? No wonder America's losing, because the Republican Party's not putting up a good enough fight. They're on administrative leave right now, and the world's, and I guess most people are looking at them like they're racist when they're protecting children. Exactly, they're helping to protect children's lives, but you guys are allowing the Democrats to now they can't use horses. They can't use horses.
Is that there is no one the Democrats and Biden won't throw under the bus, whether it is an innocent family in Afghanistan by droning them with a bomb, or the Border Patrol. If they want to win a news cycle, they want to distract, nothing is off the table, and that's what we're watching here.
Unreal. Unreal.
Mexican American agents have defended their fellow agents on this, saying that is not the case. But if we're going to look at root causes of things, because Kamala, the border czar, had to go to Central America to find the root cause of why people are coming. Could have been her invitation and Joe's invitation. But if we're going to look for root causes, they invited people. They're not enforcing the laws, and by not enforcing the laws and processing people into the country, they have encouraged these large groups of people to keep coming and coming. And we went from a 25-year low under Trump's policies, which they abandoned, and we'll probably now head.
Where are the federal lawsuits? Where are the judges helping the conservatives out?
Aiding and abetting the law breaking.
Ted Cruz talked about a setup, an underground setup where children are being raped at safe houses. That children have thousands upon thousands of dollars they owe these cartels to get dropped off in big cities to have to do dirt, to get money, to steal, to kill, to destroy, to make money to pay off their cartels where crime is growing at an exponential rate.
Seen and heard coughing loudly on several occasions, which completely encapsulated this moment perfectly. And look, when the interview finally did begin, you want to hear some of the questions that the vice president got? Here's Behar, when not coughing, quote, "Is it time to get tougher on mandates and make life tougher for the unvaccinated?"
Where are the federal lawsuits saying that Biden is causing children to be raped, raped and murdered, and we're suing the shit out of them to change the asylum laws, where a little girl has to go through country from the Northern Triangle to come into America, and on the way be raped 20 different times? Why can't he get a federal lawsuit slapped in his face that he's letting little girls get raped because he changed the asylum laws?
He says that border agents will pay for their actions. Oh, that sounds like a very fair investigation. Here's another question from Haynes, which was really an advocate for the question. For Haitians to apply for asylum. And Behar running PR, quote, "We're here today basically to make a big announcement around broadband access," Behar says to Harris. "So I want to give you
changing the subject, deflecting.
This is like getting into the ring with Mike. How did Kamala survive this onslaught? That's what I want to know." Joe, thank you. And also, Kevin, always good to see you. When we come back, Reverend Al Sharpton did not get a warm welcome when he visited the border. We're going to show you what happened with him and Joe 2.0 Terrell. He will react. That's straight ahead. You don't want to miss this tape.
Wow.
My name is Ron Hurt.
There's a lot to imagine right now. Chase secure banking.
Of course, what else is there? But you know, you remember being in, I talked about it before. You remember being in grade school? You remember being in grade school? No, I don't know. I think most boys probably may have masturbated or something, but ultimately you don't really think to the extent that you want to have sex with a second grader when you're in second grade, right? When you're a little boy in second grade, you might think a girl is cute, like the cutie of the class. You might have a crush on her, but you're not thinking about having sex with her. You're thinking about maybe a kiss at the most, right? That you'll write a note someday and she'll get it and she'll check mark the box that says she wants to be your friend or boyfriend, and you get to hold hands with her at recess, right? And if that event happened, you would be in absolutely heaven. If you could, you remember, can you place yourself in second grade with the cutie of the class or whatever grade it is, the grade school, and you're young, not when you're older and you're more deviant sexually, but when you're young and you just think, wow, it'd be cool if I had a girlfriend to hold hands with. You know, take yourself back to you when you were more pure. I know some may not ever know that state, but just think about you being able to abide in that kind of love again, that innocent childlike love that when you're young you love like crazy, right? Or at times like, oh, I love you. You risk. Why don't you check yes or no? Do you love me? Do you want to be my friend? And you risk, and you're like, I think she's gonna say yes. But you risk, but then you get hurt, right? You get hurt. Sometimes you get the box back and it's checked no. Maybe you're not cute, or maybe whatever reason, and you get, your heart gets hurt, and you build these walls up. And oh man, it hurts so bad. I was just a little boy, and I was risking, I was trying to love it, and I got rejected. It hurts. I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought she was just going to say yeah. I didn't know life was about hurt like that, and I don't want to hurt like that no more. Let me build up walls and not do that again. It hurt to risk to love. That's what we do. But God comes into our lives and he breaks down those walls, and he teaches you that getting hurt over and over again when you risk loving, and you keep doing it, that first cut is the deepest, right? That first rejection is hard, but you got to learn how to knock down those walls and do not rebuild them. To live life, to try to love, to risk hurt. Eventually, you've been hurt so many times that it doesn't hurt anymore. That Jesus could love those that are Christians, learn to love those that are even killing them. And then a lot of them will, God, they didn't know. They try to advocate for their own murderers. That happens a lot. Or they love the people that murder them, be it in their own household or a neighbor across the street or wherever. Now, I love the idea of people sit there and say, well, I say, the greatest gift other than salvation, I think, is to see God's face, the face of the Creator. He's so beautiful, I think, in His glory and everything. It take your breath away. It's not minus any sin in it, right? That, lust, you multiply lust like 1,000,000 times. This is what I think. Multiply lust by 1,000,000 times, like Joe and Dearborn said. And you look at God, and He's just so beautiful in all of His glory that He just takes. It's just, oh, wow, But take the lust, the evil out of it. It's okay to love, to look at God, to love the way He looks. So it says only the pure of heart can see God's face. Well, who can be a pure of heart? Where's the key on that one? Most people look at their hearts and they're out vying for those things that make them happy: power, wealth, sex, drugs, whatever. Who has a pure heart in this day and age of porn, gay midget porn? Who has a pure heart? Well, God can, you can advocate that God comes and cleans your heart out. It's a painful process, but He goes in deep areas of your heart, or your subconscious, whatever, goes in deep places, and He cleans you out. You just have to be honest and open and willing to change. And God can give you a clean heart, or at least a pure heart. You might have a cross to carry, addiction. I'm addicted to porn, gay midget porn. I'm addicted. But ultimately, having a pure heart, you'll talk about it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. But I'm being perfect, talking about my cross. I had to carry the cross. It wasn't an option to carry the cross. It wasn't going to be an option that cross would be too heavy for me. Sometimes I would fail to carry it. But to be perfect, I had to talk about carrying the cross. And when it was too heavy, when it knocked me down to my feet or my knees, that I succumbed to it. Or addiction. I smoke cigarettes and coffee, sugar, beer sometimes, and porn, all different kinds.
Are entering this country each and every month and will set a 25, 30-year record high. They have put the Border Patrol in the worst position possible in the middle of a pandemic. Now, not only a high rate of COVID positivity among those illegally entering the country, they're not being tested, there's no vaccine mandate, but Border Patrol have a very high incident of COVID positivity because they're taking care of people in overcrowded cages and the unsanitary conditions that we see in Del Rio.
And variants. China can have one of these sophisticated plagues come right through America. They could be preparing to protect themselves from a major variant that's on its way. But Biden's all about, what do we have to go? Let me make it clear. We have to go after the Border Patrol. How dare these men that were hired to protect the borders protect the borders. We will get these evil men. We will put them on leave, administrative leave. By the way, these fine Haitians, we need to build houses for them. Oh, what the hell's my coffee?
Hey, what are you doing up there?
Well, commercial. Well, yeah, I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I'm gonna talk about God. Really commercial. Jesus is God, but in another side of him is righteous wrath. His righteous wrath. Now, Joel Osteen will sit there and say, "You're in the palm of God's hand. He loves you. Think positive. Think positive. Think positive. He love, 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 love. Nothing evil. Don't think evil thoughts. Don't ever think of anything bad." Positive speaker, right? A positive. You know, the thing is that if you know, it's true that love keeps no record of wrong. You could touch God in such a way that it's beautiful. That you could, I don't know, one day fall short of the glory of God and watch gay midget porn, and God's like, "I love him. I don't know. I don't know. I love him. What? Yeah, I know he's looking at gay midget porn. I'll pray for him. My love for him is too much." No, those you love, you do. If you have a son or a daughter that you love, they do wrong, but they give you those little dad and mom eyes, and you're like, "Okay, I can't be mad. You're cute." That I think God does that sometimes. You touch him with your heart, and not with looks, but the heart. You do something, like risk your life for him over and over again. He's like, "Oh, well." So he mauled the cop and ate the cow. We're not gonna arrest a schizophrenic. Not today. No. No. But God he's beautiful, but you see, God has to be righteous wrath too, right? If he lets evil get away with being evil, it's like if I was a rapist and I'm going around town to town raping, and be it children or women, right? And I continue doing that. Well, what is righteous wrath going to do? Is it going to, well, we'll just let him do that which he does. Yes, indeed. He's a kid off the old block. No, the thing is that you have to, God has to punish evil, right? He has to go after evil, to stop evil at different points. There's high evil that ultimately control a lot of what the world is doing, but ultimately everyday evil. He has a process, a court system, authority figures, different ways to keep evil in check. All right, and but the ultimate thing is that right God, I see him as love personified in Jesus, and God is love. The Spirit of God is love, but God is also righteous wrath that will put you in hell for eternity, for your sins, because they didn't get accounted for. Now, again, God's not just love, but he is righteous wrath.
Ingram, and this is the Ingram Angle from Washington tonight. Let's start right off. Biden goes full Sharpton. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
It was horrible to see, as you saw. To see people treat it like they did, horses running over people being strapped.
I'm gonna turn it off. It's ridiculous, man. The jihad in America is here with Obama. If the political winds change, if my plan works, the fundamental change of Christians in America having power. If my plan works, I'm gonna side with Islam as I have open borders and allow them into America. I'm getting off of here. See it. Ridiculous.